I just came up with a really good idea for combating PSTD for the American soldier. I'm back in the homeless jerk-off spot. Still no homeless people. Still no jerking off. Well, up on the hill, not in that hill, the other one, I saw a fucking, the homeless caravan starting a bunch of shopping carts. Fortunately, there's not much people, and there's not many people to beg from down here, and there's too many bugs. Like I said. But I'm back. I was here yesterday, but not for very long, and then it started raining. Still itching my leg. Does it look like I'm jerking it? This obsession with talking about jerking off. I haven't had to take a drug test all week. I'm starting to grow concerned. Why would they stop drug testing me? I've never ever give the indication of long-term sobriety. I mean, not that I don't mind it. It's saving me money, but I feel like they want me to get soft. I mean, the ankle monitor, that fucker's ever present, but it's the UAs. I mean, I haven't been drinking, and they can tell, with this thing, I haven't drank in 2 months. And it's just the UAs. Because I haven't always passed those. I mean, some drugs. But they're always in conjunction with something else. Or not necessarily drugs that had to do with, sobriety. If that makes sense. I mean, there's illegal and then there's illegal, right? But when you're on probation, it's kind of all off limits. I should have just gone for jail for a year. If I had to go without smoking for fucking a year, I mean, even with halftime, that's 6 months without a cigarette. Jesus. Fucking throw me out in public, start whipping me. I would rather deal with the stocks than not have a cigarette and some coffee. And when I was in work release, which is not even jail, I mean, if you were to talk to anybody who, any prisoner, that's not jail. But still, I wasn't allowed to smoke. And you really have to be good at stealth jerking off. One person got caught, every 3 days when I was in there. And I was just well, everyone got mad? Okay. But everyone said something, right? So, no one's noticed. I mean, there's always the shower. Here we are. Keep bringing up masturbation. I bought new clothes because my shoes had a big ass hole. Well, my left shoe did. A big ass hole in the back for 3 or 4 weeks. And it kept getting bigger. And I couldn't walk on my heel anymore because there's something rammed up there. Like a twig or a stick? Or what's the word? Sliver. So a sliver stuck in my left foot. But then I hurt my right knee yesterday. And I was like, I could either limp on both feet. But that's starting to look weird. Because So I just went and bought some shoes. And I figured while I was buying shit, I'd get a shirt and some pants. I'm still doing the rope belt thing, though. Which I feel like this is why I don't date. Ankle monitor or not, you got a rope belt on. You're just not going to make it with the ladies. I'm not leaving here. I have my topics written down for the day. PTSD, I think. But it's not long, but I think it's a good idea. The radio. I think the radio is defunct. I think an 80% monopoly on radio is pretty much the government saying that's no longer a viable way to make money, which means it becomes public property. So I think in conjunction with the county line being redrawn, which would take it down, I want to say 8, but I think a more reasonable estimate would probably be about 15, 20 counties per state. But more rural areas, I mean, as long as we're dealing with population centers and just dealing with shit, then I just don't see, like, Wyoming needing more than 8. Hell, even Michigan probably deal with fucking 12, The East Coast, the Northeast, yeah. I mean, you're with the new county line, it really just deals with, county shit, but still, I mean, the sheriff's department and the ability of the county to deal its job, which in this day and age, you can have bigger departments, sure, but less. Fewer? Fuck. Fewer versus less. Between that and its and who's is just writing shit's pretty difficult. Pretty difficult. What was I talking about? Radio being defunct. In conjunction with the county line, I think every county needs to just go ahead and I think all radio stations need to be seized that are owned as a monopoly or part of a monopoly and put up for auction in their county. And with all public, these are public airwaves. You know what I'm saying? I'm conservative, but I'm not fucking dealing with that shit. If you're gonna monopolize this shit, and I change channels 16 times, and they all have advertisements on at the same time, fuck you. All this shit is bullshit anyway. It's not even good music anymore. I mean, sometimes, I find, I have a couple radio stations I go to on a regular basis: 97.3, 93.7, 93.3, 103.5, 99.5. 107.1. I mean, that started out as a good idea, but turned into all Tupac all the time. And don't get me wrong, Bach's not bad, but what about Bone Thugs? If you're gonna go classic hip hop or classic rock, Bone Thugs, Jurassic 5, fucking Far Side. I mean, you got other options other than fucking, you got other options other than all Tupac all the time. Is all I'm saying. 107.1. Why does 107.1? I remember this back when it first started. It mentioned Bennett. That's just a weird place. That's a weird place to put a classic, an old hip hop station in Bennett. You would think anywhere but Bennett, honestly. Aurora. I'm not trying. There's definitely more black people in Aurora than Bennett, is what I'm saying. Now, I'm not saying only black people listen to rap, but there's just a totally different demographic in Aurora versus Bennett, in Strasburg. I forgot to buy cigarettes, and I got all this shit. Radio, I think that has been abandoned, and I think 50% of radio waves need to be held as public works per county. Now, this is in conjunction with the county line being redrawn. But held as public work by the libraries in that area for radio clubs, music clubs, local musicians. So basically, you would rent your space like you would normally in a library, because they do classes and such, and I don't think the librarians would particularly mind. Now, this wouldn't be an expansion in taxpayer and taxes. This would just be just allow local people to take control of the radio waves, and not having to rely on some fucking Clear Channel or whatever the fuck it's called, assholes in LA shoving a bunch of garbage ass music down my throat, same shit over and over and over. If I had a chance to be like, hey, I love this DJ, he's on at this time, or she's on at this time every fucking week, then I'm gonna tune in. And I think that as the radio has been abandoned, we can all, well, no one listens to fucking radio. Like, oh, radio's dead. Well, I can do that anywhere. I don't need an internet connection. I don't need a fucking... You know, you can't do this shit with the radio. You know, the battery life in a radio is going to be a hell of a lot longer, about a month, 2 months, 3 months, and just an outlet. And I can always pick up the radio, and that is not something we should walk away from. You know what I'm saying? As a people, and if we're not allowed the radio station or the television, if normal people aren't allowed to access television or be a part of the public work that is the television wavy thingies, God, I should be more articulate with actual words. Thingies and thingamabobber. I mean, that's scientific. That is legit shit. But I think that the radio has been abandoned, and I think there's a lot of clubs and a lot of people and a lot of there would be a lot of interest in your local area for people to get, you know, their particular voice out. And they can do it with local advertising. You know, they can pay for this. Not even pay for it, but they could pay for a library to have a recording studio for this via local companies advertising, and not taking that money out of the community. Not taking that money, you know, from here to L.A. Is that a country song, From Here to L.A.? I feel like it is. From here to somewhere. I mean, from North Carolina to California. Oh. But I really think there's a lot that can be done with the radio, in conjunction with the new county lines. Expand on Department of Education reform. But that's basically on the same vein as I'm doing with, as the United Labor Party is promoting for OSHA and Department of Labor, where it is, you know, normal people with normal real-world application and normal, like, what is actually working and what isn't and what's normal. You know, because a lot of these laws seem to be written with companies in mind, with the government in mind, with lawsuits in mind. Fuck, if someone smokes some pot and they fall off a building 2 days later, that's not... Someone fucked up, and it's not the person who smoked pot 2 days before. You know what I'm saying? I mean, personally, I think all drug testing should be illegal for companies, other than, you know, maybe trucker or someone, you know, who's operating a crane. You know, if 50,000 people could die, then probably should be not cranking the crystal, you know. But, you know, realistically, there's a lot of shit that OSHA requires that, you know, do you know that you are legally supposed to have a fucking harness when you're on a roof? Has anyone ever seen a roofer with a harness? I've worked on roofs. I have hoofed it over some fucking trusses in my day. And some fucking dangerous shit. But I always figure that I'm terrified of heights, so whenever I'm in that situation, that I'm so extra careful. Like, you know, there's a 50-foot drop on the, like, concrete, and you've got a fucking a bunch of tools and a fucking nail gun, and you're trying not to die. Like, there is some definite, you know, you keep an eye on that shit. But I've never seen anybody with a harness. In fact, one time I've heard someone mention a harness, all the roofers laughed, and because they said that would get under their feet and that would be more of a hazard. But you know what? From what I understand about roofers, and I'm trying to be polite as possible here, you would have a hard time operating a harness while fucked up on oxy, which is what a lot of you are doing. And you know, I'm fucking. You know, I fucking drank myself to sleep. I drank myself to the back of a truck and passed out in numerous alleys. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be a dick. Is where I'm coming from. You know, this is realistically what's happening. So let's just address that and deal with it. You know, work with people. 15 minutes. No one's gonna watch this. Press back. 30 seconds of rambling, but that's fine. It's a good way for hanging out in the homeless jerk-off spot. You know what I'm saying? It's a good way to... Fuck, it's relaxing here, you know? Yesterday I was freaking out because my computer died. If one thing goes wrong, my day is a fucking train wreck. Bam. Everything starts to fucking jump out at you. Oh. And when everything goes wrong, then fuck, you end up hanging out in a homeless jerk-off spot. But it's relaxing, you know. It's. I mean, the bugs aren't making noise today. I bet this is gonna be nice in the winter. I bet it's real nice in the winter. I haven't started a fire. You're welcome, America. I haven't started one that I haven't put back out. But honestly, I'm an Eagle Scout, or was, and I just like lighting shit on fire. That's just kind of what I do. If you're just sitting around, do you know how flammable jeans are? I was working in a fucking food truck, and I just kept setting myself on fire. Like, I set myself on fire probably 4 times, which is 4 times too many, you know? But, you know, my confidence should be measured in how many things I haven't burned down, which is everything. I've never burned anything totally down. And that's an accomplishment. I've lived in houses with fireplaces, and I just want to get drunk and burn shit. Like, that's all I do all day. I could spend all day on a day off just getting drunk and like, well, let's just start taking apart furniture and shit. Did anyone else hear that processed wood, like 2x4s and pressed wood and MDF, you're not supposed to burn that? No one told me shit. Like, I've been burning that for years. Apparently, you know, there's formaldehyde and a bunch of shit in there, and, you know, sawdust, and everyone says they wear masks, but they don't. But still, when you release that, I just didn't know that was a thing. I mean, most people don't care, and still, I mean, if I had a house, which is never going to happen, and I had to do a remodel, like, I would be burning shit in the backyard for real, like, the whole time. Why am I paying to get rid of this when I could just burn it, you know? What are you going to do? Illegally dump somewhere? I mean, you have choices here. Burn or illegally dump. But have you guys seen the price? You guys. No one. Has no one seen the prices of fucking waste management? Just like, I'm taking this here and dumping it for you. You want $60? I'm sorry. That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. You're better off. Honestly, you're better off doing metal scrapping. And I don't like doing scrapping. You know, I'll load the other people up and shit. But, I don't like taking jobs away from the functionally schizophrenic. And that's something they're good at. And I'm not trying to, like, that's not a joke. That's something schizophrenics are very good at, is that kind of thing. And they sit in storage places with their thing full of schizophrenic stuff. And they make money for their storage units where they can be, you know, messed up, and they sit in their storage units, but that's how they pay for that. That's how they pay for that. They pay for that through scrapping. So I feel like, you know, if you are capable of not scrapping, then you shouldn't, just to be polite to the schizophrenics, because they've got a lot going on up there, and they have a hard time talking. You know what they like doing? They like tinkering with shit in storage units that are packed to the gills like a hoarder, because they are hoarding crazy person shit that is very important to them at that time. And I don't think that should be taken lightly. I think we should respect that as a people and as a culture. I think that they are deserving of just being allowed to be schizophrenic. And if they want to be crazy, they ain't bothering me. I mean, shit. Out of everybody who's ever bothered me, the crazy person on the corner has never, like, forced me to do some shit, you know, or got mad at me for not doing some shit they wanted me to do. So, I mean, let's not take jobs away from schizos. It's just not polite. If you do have to get rid of some shit, what you got to do is do appliance. You know, put an ad in Craigslist and get a bunch of appliances and fill it with that other shit. then you go to the scrapyard and sell it. You know, but scrapping, I mean, they're not doing the same poundage as they used to. You need like motors. You need motors. They'll give you like 90 cents a pound for, you know, a little Emerson motor, but regular shit, like, that's just not paying the bills anymore. You know, from what I understand, people tell me things. You know, it's not 2006. The country isn't starving. To go buy cigarettes or to not go buy cigarettes? It's going to take a minute to go get cigarettes. What is Baylor? Bought this shirt at Goodwill and these shoes and these pants. 99 cents, brand new pair of pants. Can't beat that. Should buy a belt though, not a rope belt. Go get me a date. Hey baby, you ever dated a guy who didn't wear a rope belt? Most of them, I bet. You can hear like traffic and shit. Totally quiet other than that. I mean, traffic mostly doesn't, you know, the sounds. I can hear a couple, just nothing. No noise. Except for me just rambling. But I only do that when this is open. Otherwise, it's all in my head. I need to go get my ankle monitor read. I was supposed to do that. Oh, fuck. I was going to do what I had to do with drug test, but they haven't drug tested me. I was just going to go down there and be like, hey, yeah, well, while I'm here, but I was supposed to do it Tuesday. But, you know, it's kind of an ongoing thing. Like, do it once a week, but they want it done every 7 days. But, and like everything else, they get mad at you when you don't comply. I'm at my homeless jerk-off spot. And I'm supposed to just drop everything and schedule my day around some train trip to... I should. I really should. That's what I'm incarcerated. It's not even technically. I am. You're supposed to do what you're told. I just can't focus. I can't remember things at all. Fuck. Opening mail? I haven't done that ever. I've opened 10 pieces of mail my entire life. This is hectic. That's harrowing. Opening your mail. That's what fire is for. I just throw everything in the fire. But I don't have a fireplace anymore, so now I just ignore it. I just throw it in a pile. And then I sit and I think, and I'm like, oh shit, I bet all those letters, someone's pissed off about something, and then right now I get all not even motivated, but aware of the situation that's happening, that has been happening for a while, but then, by the time it happens, I'm just like, fuck it. By the time I get home, I'm going to be like, fuck it, I'll just do it tomorrow. I got shit to do. Not at all, though. I don't. What do I have to do? This. I have to save the United States of America from communism. That's weird, though. That's a weird thing. You can't say that. You can't go in front of a judge and be like, listen, I'm on a mission because the American people are commies and you're representative of that. Do you know how that wouldn't go over very well? And you can't tell other people that. Like, hey, electrical bill person, you should probably lay off me because I'm currently on a mission. A 4-year mission. God, I should watch. I got Deep Space Nine. Deep Space Nine, TNG is great, but Deep Space Nine, I love that it does the story arc plus the individual, because TNG kind of did all story arc or all individual, but Deep Space Nine kind of did individual stories inside of an arc, and plus Quark is in it, and you cannot put too many Ferengis in a Star Trek show. Like, well done to the actor who played Quark, because, like, legitimately, every scene he's in is the best. Like that one time that he's playing that game with those people from the other quadrant through the wormhole, and he's playing that game, and he accidentally traps Cisco and what's her face and the Bajoran chick and the doctor. Dax, the Bajoran chick, and Dr. What's his face in the game. And so Quark, you haven't seen, maybe you have, but I'll remind you. But Quark was he's sitting there, and once he realized, he starts begging them. He starts begging them to like end the game. They're like, no, once you start, you can't stop. And so that's just the context of what I'm going to tell you. Anyway, so then the shapeshifter dude shows up, and well, he was already there during that. Okay, and so they're all talking, and then Quark goes, "Oh, I see. You were here for the groveling," which is the best line ever. Anything, that's up there with Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo? That's one of the best lines in the history of the human endeavor, beginning to end. Oh, I see. You were here for the groveling. That guy, like, honestly, like, I know they put up on a whole bunch. Here's the thing about Star Trek. Everyone's always thinking, like, wow, it must be great to be Kirk or Will Riker, because they're always fucking these alien chicks. And here's the thing is, most Star Trek aliens just have kind of fucked up heads and fucked up noses. And I could find a chick with a fucked up head and a fucked up nose on Backpage right now for you. If that's what you're into, she'll even have clammy skin. Guarantee it. I mean, they won't get there till 3 a.m, but I mean, if you want a chick with a fucked up nose and a fucked up head and clammy skin, that's the Star Trek alien. That's the quintessential Star Trek alien. So I just don't understand where's this obsession with having sex with aliens when I honestly guarantee you these chicks are around. A bunch of people, not just chicks. A bunch of people. Fucked up heads, fucked up noses. That's cool. But Star Trek just, throw some face paint on them, a couple ridges, and all of a sudden call it a culture, and you don't have a deformity. You have a fucking beauty thing. I mean, if Scarlett Johansson had a Bajoran nose and she walked up to the average dude in the street and was like, "Hey there, I'm Scarlett Johansson," he'd be like, "What's up with your fucking nose?" Not in a rude way. You try not to look at it, but you'd still look at it. You'd have a hard time making eye contact, like constant, consistent, open eye contact, because she'd be like, "You know what? You're Scarlett Johansson, sure. But what's with the Bajoran nose?" And I don't know. I'm just saying, there's a lot going on with Star Trek that people think you can't find in the real world, and you can. I'm sure. I mean, I've met some Klingon-esque motherfuckers in my day. And here's the thing: is they really kind of had a lot going on with. They kind of just turned their back on the Klingon, the Romulan, and the Kardashian. Like, there were some good-ass wars about to be brewing. And here's the thing about all these people who are like Star Trek and the Federation are the nicest people on the planet. And I like Star Trek, but they always have points. Like, they always have good points. Like, the Kardashians are like, yeah, you guys are all moral and shit, but here's like the 17 times in the last year that you've done some fucked up shit, and I'm supposed to believe that fucking Picard has some moral authority over all these other people, when every time the Federation gets involved in anything, it's a fucking disaster, and they're doing some really fucked up shit to people. And the Romulans are supposed to be like, yeah, enjoy your, we're gonna do what you say, when like you're doing some fucked up shit. But every time the Federation is involved, every time you hear from the Federation, it's always this like unnamed admiral going, Captain Sisko, or he's not a captain, Mr. Sisko or Captain Picard. We understand your ethical concerns, but shut the fuck up. And that's every time that the Federation even shows up is as the bad guy, and I'm supposed to accept that they have some more... Bunny Rabbit. I'm supposed to accept that they have some fucking moral authority over the Romulans and the Klingons. Oh yeah, the Klingons like bashing people's skulls in. I mean, what's the problem here? I mean, that's their culture. I mean, that's what they're good at. If they want to have an empire based on bashing people's skulls in, and I mean, you can call their ways archaic, and they are, they absolutely are. But the Federation is all leaning on each other for ethics. They're relying on an overall ethical sense to say, well, this is ethical because the Federation is ethical, so everything I do must be ethical. And honestly, I think, like, barring the Borg, I think the Federation needs to get its ass beat. Like, hardcore. Because every time you see another Federation vessel, like, it's never a good thing. Like, yeah, the Enterprise is kick-ass, Deep Space Nine is what's up, but every other time, it's some son of a bitch doing some fucking fucked up shit. I need to go to my ankle monitor ad and buy some cigarettes. The only real thing about Star Trek that has been on point is there doesn't seem to be a single reference, a single cultural phenomenon or anything between 1980 and 2400, which we're well on our way to that. Not a single person worth listening to for the next 600 years. Everyone's still talking about Shakespeare in 2400 and Einstein, because there's just not going to be a single intelligent person in this situation, in this setup, and all this. You know what I'm saying? Beep, beep, beep. The bug started. I wonder why. They weren't doing it earlier. They have some kind of... They knew I was talking about them. They knew, not right now, but earlier when I said it was silent. And they're like, oh, you're invading my space. You could call me. They're just, nah. Oh. $33 minutes. How do I get back here? This is going to take forever to upload. But guess what? My roommate's gone. So guess who can take a bubble bath tonight? Not that I couldn't anyway. I just feel judged. I mean, what if he has to use the bathroom? And I'm in a bubble bath. I should get some bleach, though, and clean that motherfucker. Because I don't know if you saw me yesterday. You didn't. I did. But I am you, and you are me. So, all that dirt on a regular basis being washed off you, that'll do a number to a shower, a bed, bath, bathtub. And I need to get some drain cleaner, some Drano, because I got a bunch of clogs. I gotta fucking sign a lease tomorrow. A year. That went quick. Accomplished nothing. I mean, I did. It's hard to explain, but it doesn't look like I did. I'm certainly. That's Memorial Day. I was walking on the street back from work, and how I looked yesterday is how I normally look. You don't know when yesterday was, but I was covered in dirt. Because I do, I work dirt jobs, whatever that would be. If it involves dirt, I'm okay with it. The dirtier, the better. And I was walking down the street, and I see there's this girl crying. Little girl. Not a little girl. She's 17. I don't know. Because 31-year-olds should not hang out with 17-year-olds. And that's just a basic rule of thumb. I don't even know how you would even come into that situation. However, this girl is sobbing, walking down the street. You know what I'm saying? And she's sobbing. And she comes up to me. And I just want to understand the context of the situation is I am some random dude in his 30s, and this little girl is walking up to me for help. And after you hear what happened, you'll understand why that's kind of fucked up. Is this girl's crying, and she just got kicked out of her house, and she had just been arrested for the 3rd time, 17 years old, and I'm like, well, shit. I mean, she has to use my phone. And I'm like, yeah, of course. So I give her my phone. She goes, she needs Facebook Messenger. Because she didn't know anybody's phone number. Which I guess is a thing with kids. Which is, an understandable thing. So I start to download Facebook Messenger, but I am aware of the situation of a 31-year-old, with a 17-year-old girl sobbing on the street, and I can't be in this situation, but I'm not leaving her alone. So I take her to a school. There's a school down the road. So I take her to the school. She goes, I used to go there, and I got expelled for getting in a fight. This is a situation you put this little girl in, where she's been arrested 3 times, and she got expelled from an alternative school for getting in a fucking fight? So now she's talking to a 31-year-old, obviously upset and vulnerable, and she could have been hurt. So I fucking, I talk to her a little bit, but I sit in front of the school with her so she can go on the Facebook Messenger thing and start texting her little friends for a ride. To swoop her up, or whatever the fuck she said. Some stupid shit, some teenage shit. And I'm just like, she could have been hurt. And so now, from my understanding, from, just kind of sitting there being uncomfortable as fuck, but not about to walk away until I was aware, I was sure she was going to be fine. Because I was about to call the law, but, a girl in that situation, a girl in that situation who's been arrested a bunch of times, last thing she wants to hear is the police. You know what I'm saying? And I doubt there would be any help anyway, which is a big issue, So I'm sitting in front of this school, and it's Memorial Day, and she's like, none of the teachers in there will help me. And I didn't realize it was Memorial Day, and thank God it was, because I was going to go in there and kick some ass. And I would have been thrown in jail because I was pissed off that this girl had nowhere she could go that wasn't a probationer walking back from work, Because what happens if I would have been like, hey, well, I have an apartment and drugs? That happens to young people in that situation. And she could have been hurt. So she's telling me one of her friend's mom's coming to pick her up. She's moving to Pueblo. I got nothing against Pueblo. I like Pueblo. But that girl, that 17-year-old girl, who had been just tossed aside by pretty much every authority figure that she had met in her entire life, is now going to be a meth head. And that was a statistic walking. That's exactly what she was. We need reform and all that shit. That poor thing. It sucks witnessing a statistic. It really, really just pisses me off to witness a statistic being born. And it really pisses me off when every single person who should care in that situation has dropped the ball so hard that her best choice was some random fucking dude who could have hurt her. Not saying I ever would. But, I mean, the cops dropped the ball, CPS dropped the ball. I mean, CPS is a worthless sack of shit organization that needs to be fucking burned. Every single person involved needs to be, just remove themselves. But, like, even the teachers there, what'd you do? Just shrug and say, yeah, zero tolerance? What'd you do in that situation? Make her do that. She has zero She has zero. She has nothing. She's dependent on people. And it's your job to be like, yeah, fuck you, you know, she gets to stay at school. That's some shit right there. You know, and I shook her hand and said, you know, good luck, don't do anything stupid. But still, you know, I offered her $20 and she's like, no, it's fine, you know? But she's just walking to some park to get swooped by some person. And it's none of my business. It wasn't any of my business. I mean, I tried to not stay out of it, but I was listening, be like, hey, if somebody over 19 but under 35 shows up to get you, I ain't fucking okay with that. But, you know, what can you do? In that situation, you can't do shit. You can't do shit because you're just an observer. But every single other person in that situation who was an observer had put her in that situation. So what you think is going to happen to her? Maybe it'll work out. Maybe she'll end up with a great life, you know, happy home life and all that shit. But more likely, she's going to be hooking for meth within 3 years. That's what happened. Is everyone said that was not my job. And everyone said, that's none of my business. And every single adult in that school and in the police department and in Child Protective Services basically said, fuck it. We'll deal with her in 25. We'll deal with her in 10 years when she's, you know, beyond any help. When she's heavily addicted to everything, then we're going to deal with this. Because we didn't feel like putting in the extra effort today. We didn't feel like writing fucking sane, and reasonable, down-to-earth school shit, laws. None of that zero-tolerance bullshit. Why would you send a kid to an alternative school and then expel them for fighting? I feel like if you put every single kid who is a troublemaker or in trouble in one school, an alternative school, I don't care what you call it. I mean, I don't care what kind of fancy-ass words you fucking dress it up with. These are little shits. And then you're going to tell them not to fight because that goes opposite of everything anyone would know. Anyone would expect from that situation would be shitheads acting like shitheads and fights and drugs. Like, why would you expel them for that? I don't get it. I don't get what the fuck is wrong with some of you that you can't just let people be people and try to work with them on that. Because then you end up with people not being able to say anything. And what happens? What happens then? A little girl comes crying down the street, walking down the street, sobbing, with nothing. And she could be hurt. I don't know, man. Miss, whoever you are. I don't know. I'm not happy with this shit. I ain't happy with that shit at all. Like, I may hang out in a homeless jerk-off spot, but that doesn't make me a soulless human being, and it doesn't mean anything. And, like, you guys need to pay more attention. A lot of professions in this country need to actually, like, think what ethics means and try and make an effort, especially for low-level people. Teachers, public servants, police officers, bureaucrats. You need to, like, actually think. Because that little girl is going to prison inside of 5 years. You know it. I know it. The only person involved who doesn't know it yet is the little girl who is currently in the middle of a train wreck. So, I don't know. I think a lot of you are fucking pricks. Sick of it. Sick of it. Sick of you fucking assholes running everything. Bunch of pricks. Fuck. No one's perfect. You're gonna make mistakes. Why does everything have to be end-all be-all with all these assholes? It just seems like every time someone's in the government, they turn into a fucking prick. Or maybe government attracts fucking pricks. Maybe we should fucking deal with that. You know? Have you ever thought to yourself, I would like to meet somebody from Washington, D.C.? Like, what part of Department of Justice do you not think is full of just the most... If someone can pass a complete background check and every single drug test all the time, is probably an asshole. And that doesn't mean people who have been arrested are better. It just means that if your entire industry is dependent on assholes, then you should probably check yourselves. And you should probably be grounded in reality every fucking once in a while and what the real world is like. And not that Alexandrian bullshit that needs to fucking die. Alexandrians. Now that's a fucking group of swine. Glad your budgets are fucking worth more than the American fucking life and the American fucking dream. Glad you're fucking getting paid with your fucking pensions and your fucking raises. Fucking perjurous fucking traitors. Fuck you. Let me go get my ankle monitor read. Buy a pack of cigarettes. Fuck you. Fuck you. That kid was fucking fucked. That kid was fucked. And that she wasn't fucked by every single person involved. She was fucked by hundreds of years of just asinine fucking bullshit policy that has no place in the American public. In American fucking government. Fucking legislation. Legislatures. Fuck you. Fucking not my problem. Yeah, it kind of is, because you work for the fucking government, you fucking juice bags. Fuck. Fucking pricks. God damn it. I can't stand these fucking people. Every time. I read laws. I read this shit. They're ignorant. It's not that they're ignorant. They willfully ignore anything resembling ethics, morals, or any sort of, I don't even know. I don't know. It's their money. The American tax dollar is their money. They want it. They're keeping it. Get the greedy little grubby claws in the shit. Fuck. Fire them all.